everybody, and welcome back to another Friday Night Spotlight, or, it could be Saturday morning sunshine. We don't know. The weather's been a bit crazy the past couple of weeks. Either way, this show is brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. Jumping right into things, we are now in week 5. This is the halfway mark, technically, for our smaller schools who started back around mid-August, but this is barely week 3 for the rest of our group. Looking at Game of the Week, it is rivalry week, technically, here in Pinal County, and our Game of the Week is Combs hosting Apache Junction. Apache Junction is currently 2-0. And the Coyotes are 1-1. David, what are you looking for in this matchup?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. We don't really know when games are happening at this point. The weather's been crazy the last couple of weeks, but hopefully we should be on track for some good Friday night action this week. And we're starting it off with a big one. The Prospectors and the Coyotes come at each other, and the Prospectors are one of the teams that we're going to be looking out for in 4A because they're just they're hitting on all levels, especially now with a lot of their key guys in their senior years, like Gavin Lamagio, like Garrett Garcia. And we talk about the three-headed monster a lot. We talk about those two guys along with Isaiah Zavoy at the running back position, but there's one guy that, those guys are going to get those flowers, but I want someone else to get their flowers as well, and that's Ben Valenzuela. He's a wide receiver for them this year. I believe he's a sophomore or junior, but he's becoming a really good second option, and that is huge for Apache Junction to where if a defense is honing in on Garrett Garcia and he's not able to get open, Ben Valenzuela's right there to get good yardage for them and keep the offense rolling. So I really like what he can do. He is athletic, he's agile, he's able to move around as much as he needs to when he has the ball and catches the ball really well. So I really like what he's doing for them. And for Combs, I think they're still a team on the rise. They've gone to a new direction with Levi Hoagland now as the head coach and everything like that. And Tanner Hale and Hunter Clare are still going to be the 1-2 punch at quarterback and wide receiver. And I think they're finally starting to get it down right and how they want it to be this year. After their first game at St. Mary's, they were trying to make some right play calls. It just didn't work out, but now they're really starting, to find their footing. Yes, they're 1-2 right now, but I think they still have a lot of potential this year to have a decent run and possibly squeak into the playoffs. But in this one, I think, the Prospectors' offense is just too strong, along with their very much improved defense this year that we've seen. I think they're a very good all-around team, and I think they're going to take the win in this one.
Looking at this year's game coming up on Friday, I think this is finally the year where we get the full fireworks show when it comes to both quarterbacks. And Combs is Tanner Hale and Apache Junction's Gavin Lamagio. Going back to when these two guys were sophomores and they earned their starting positions, it was COVID. It was 2020, and that game got canceled, so we didn't get to see them in action. Last year was their first year actually playing each other. Unfortunately for Combs, Tanner Hale didn't have a lot of options to help him out offensively, so he did the majority of the work, and that didn't end up very well for Combs. This year, however, Hale finally has that help, that additional help. He doesn't have to do it all by himself, so I'm saying, like I said, this is the year where we finally see it all come together between these two teams. For Hale, David mentioned it, they have... he has, who was it? Hunter Clare, who helps him out on offense, but then also running the ball. You have Micah Barker and Connor Wiles, who did a really solid job last week against Coolidge. Yeah, they went and played against a 3A team, but so did Apache Junction. They blew out Santan Foothills, which is a much improved Santan Foothills in this game. For Gavin Lamagio last week, a usual game for him, completed 13 of 23 passes, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he did have those 2 interceptions. He has to do a little better job of reading his defense because, hey, if not, teams will make you pay. And this is something that Combs is capable of doing. Last week, they limited Coolidge to minimal yardage, less than 100 yards for their quarterback and running back. That's likely not going to be the case against Apache Junction, so this is a good test for them to see where they're at. Not really at the halfway mark of the season for them, but still, they can see what exactly they need to improve on in order to make that deep playoff push later on as the season goes on. David, is there anything else you're expecting from this game?
Yeah, I want to see how Combs' defense kind of handles Gavin Lamagio inside the pocket, and if he can keep him in the pocket, because one of his big calling cards is his ability to run and also scramble. He can extend a play to just an enormous amount of just running around the backfield and trying to find an open receiver, or just going past the line of scrimmage and picking up a couple of yards. So I really want to see if the Combs defense is able to contain him and keep that part of his game silent for a bit and see how they do with that. But it should be a good game either way, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, now David, what's your what to watch for this week?
I'm taking American Leadership Academy Ironwood going up against Gilbert Christian. Gilbert Christian, a 2A school, going up to face the 3A school of ALA Ironwood. And, Ironwood has been a very big surprise in the last couple of years. They had two just really down years where wins were really hard to come by for them. But last year was kind of a turning point. They put 4 wins together in 2021 and 2022, and right now there's 1 and 2 to start the year. And this team still looks really good. They've been competing with a lot of really good teams. A lot of their games that they've lost in have only been maybe by a margin of 3 or even a touchdown. So this team is really strong, and they're putting together good competent games, even though it may not be the result that they've wanted so far. But this team is really good, and it starts with guys like Connor Mullett at the quarterback position. He's done really well for them so far, being the distributor he needs to be, but also kind of manning that offense. But the big guy I want to talk about is Aiden Williams at running back. He's becoming a star for them right now. He has 451 yards and 7 touchdowns already to start the year, and he has been a big surprise for them, I think, only as a sophomore right now. So he is definitely going to be a part of their team, their success now and in the future in the next couple of years. So I really like what he's doing, and I am a big fan of this team right now, and I really like what they're doing. So I'm going to take them over to win against Gilbert Christian. Gilbert Christian, obviously the 2A school, but they put some good competitions as well. They got a couple wins on the year, but I think the Warriors are ready to prove again why they should be talked about right now in 3A.
So, real quickly, I gotta add, I'm highly disappointed. I really wanted to talk about that game, but David beat me to it. So, instead, I am going to take our other rivalry game happening this week, and that's the legendary, there's no real name for this rivalry, but hey, if you know it, it's Florence and Coolidge. Florence is currently 4-0. They are coming off a big Saturday morning victory over 4A Vista Grande, where they defeated the Spartans 28-14. And for Coolidge, it was a down game last week. They got pretty beat up by Combs, and the key thing here is I'm kind of worried about Coolidge. They only have a 24-man roster. Yes, Combs was the bigger school, being in 4A. They had the bigger guys. They had more depth. But, however, they're halfway through the season right now. Injuries start to become a factor. Fatigue starts to play in. And with only 24 guys on the roster, there's not a lot of help that can come in for the Bears. They are still without their star quarterback in Gianni Wascolino. He is still serving his timeout because of the transfer rule. And last week, Ethan Ramirez, just 48 passing yards, 1 interception, and Coolidge's rushing game, which is pretty much what they heavily rely on. Javante Wall was the only one who got the lone touchdown for the Bears, 64 total rushing yards. Looking at Florence, we talked about them last week. I felt like we kind of underestimated them because there was a lot of uncertainty given the teams that they had played, but they looked really solid on Saturday against Vista Grande. In talking with Coach Jesse Hart, his plan is simple. Offensively, hey, they're going to give the ball to their star running back and Josh Jackson, who posted 154 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And for the defense, it's simple. Get the ball back to the offense as quick as possible, which is something they did. Day Neal, we got to highlight this guy. Fantastic vision, great hands, both on offense and defensively. Other guys on defense who might not show up on the stat sheet, but do also get the job done and are there causing some trouble for the Gophers, are Garrett Rainey and Jacob Cook. Overall, these Gophers are really hot right now. They're a scrappy team, and they're just rolling on all cylinders. It's a dangerous combination, everything that's happening, working for these Gophers to go in and play this rivalry game. Of course, it is a rivalry game, and anything can happen, so we'll have to wait and see how this turns out. David, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we got just another slate of really good games going up, and hopefully they'll all be played on Friday, besides Post and Butte, who plays on Thursday, I believe, this week. So hopefully we'll get all of them on Friday night, and we'll have them for you all ready for Pinal Central, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, real quickly, here are our picks for the week. If you guys notice up top, David is currently losing. Got to point that out.
Okay.
He made the big declaration at the start, so.
Didn't have to point it out, but you did it nice.
Anyways, be sure to check us out next week for another Friday Night Spotlight, and be sure to check out PinalCentral.com over the weekend for all of your football game coverage.